Good afternoon, DUT community, and welcome to our second workshop series. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your attendance. Once again, it's the Advancements in Alumni Relations Unit in collaboration with Recruiters Care, who's bringing you a personal branding webinar. My name is Ronelle Lyson. I am the Advanced Alumni Relations Coordinator. And I'd like to introduce you to our facilitator today. Her name is Gita Winters. She has 16 years of broad recruitment experience. She's one of less than 10 people on the continent to hold an individual staffing master designation. She's currently a board member of the recruitment industry governing body, and she's absolutely passionate about youth development and empowering people with the knowledge and skills to succeed. To this end, she founded Recruiters Care to give recruiters a platform to make meaningful change. And I'm sure that we enjoyed the first session, and I know Gita is going to do a fabulous job today. And I hope you guys enjoyed the session. If you do have any questions while Gita is facilitating, please pop it in the chat box. But there will be times where you can unmute your mic and ask a question. But I hope you guys enjoy this. Please remember the session is being recorded and we will be sharing this on all our different platforms. So over to you, Gita.
Thank you very much, Ronelle. So while I'm busy sharing my screen, if we're talking about personal branding today, I'm also going to add some personal stuff to that. So if anybody takes the time to Google stalk me, you'll see that there's two things I possibly love more than educating and supporting our youth. That's chocolate. Okay, maybe there's three things. There's chocolate, there's Coke, and there's pugs. I'm an absolute pug fanatic. And in fact, at some point, you might even see him pop his little head up and say hi to everybody. The pug is the boss of me. So if he wants to put his head in the screen, the pug is putting his head in the screen. That's how this works. So let's get going. So personal branding is one of the most important topics that you could probably have as a graduate. I know Ruth dealt with CVs, and a CV is in fact a small component of your personal brand, but developing a brand now. And for those of you that are maybe in year one, it is the very best time to start it, because when you need it, it's too late. A brand takes a bit of time to develop. So we're going to get, this session is not enough to make you a master in personal branding, but it is definitely going to give you a very good place to start, and we can build on that as we go. So here's some house rules. This should be fun. This shouldn't be me lecturing you, because I'm sure you've had that pretty much all day and you've had enough of it. So this should be engaging. You get more out of it the more you participate. So I really encourage asking questions. We're here to learn. There isn't a stupid question. Your comments or questions help others. And it also creates a different perspective. And sometimes that perspective makes a difference. Maybe to put a little bit into context, I have two kids and they've both very recently entered the job market. And as much as I thought, I'm a recruiter, I can get this sorted, no problem. It has been a very insightful journey. And part of this has been led by what I saw my own children experience, how I saw them, where they struggled, where they excelled, and how I've adapted this to make it easier for, bless him, the second one, who the first one was my guinea pig, and the second one, we kind of got it a little bit better. So I've been through this personally. I've been through it with my own kids. So I've seen it work practically. And I really, really encourage you to ask loads. Engage with me a lot, because it's the discussions that are going to get you practical know-how, not me telling you, do this, do that, because even I bore myself if I'm going to do that. So let's do it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to test some of your own brand knowledge, right? So just to show you that brands are probably a lot more recognizable, even with basic information, than you think. So let's give it a try. I don't mind. I'm a recruiter. We're all loud. So if you can maybe unmute yourselves for this, shout out the answer if you know it. There's no quickest wins, but it is like 30 seconds. So let's see how we go and how many of these brands we can recognize. Question number 1. It is the most common search engine used. Go.
Google.
That's it. A fast food restaurant that used to be known for its clown.
Nando's.
McDonald's. McDonald's, that's the one. A streaming service where you can watch movies and TV shows. Maybe more than one of
Netflix.
these. Netflix, a good one. Right.
Showmix.
That's it. 46664.
Mandela's
Mandela.
prison number.
100%. A chain known for its flame grilled peri peri chicken.
Nando's.
Nando's. Maybe this one is not as easy.
Pedro's.
Good. Animation studio creates movies like Toy Story, Finding Nemo, and The Incredibles.
Disney.
No, try again.
Pixel.
Pixar, that's it. Right. Space travel and electric cars.
Tesla.
Who's the person behind
Omoda.
Tesla? Yeah.
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk, that's the dude. Planes, gyms, and records.
Virgin Active.
That's Virgin on its own, 100%. Right. Known for its saying a glass and a half. I gave you a clue earlier.
Dairy Milk.
That's the one. Last one. A brand known for its pens, pencils, and lighters.
Big.
Big.
That's it. So I think you can see from that we have a lot of brand knowledge. And why is that? Because these brands spend a lot of time honing the messages to us, enforcing their brand identity, and quite frankly, are very often in our faces. And I want you to really keep that in mind. So maybe one or two people, or if you were happy to shout out, because that might be chaos, one or two people, if you can tell me who your favorite brand is, and if somebody could just call out who that was, and we're going to talk about that, why it's your favorite brand. Any brand at all, a person, a product, or whatever that happens to be. Ronelle, can you give me any one of them, please?
Nike.
Nike. Okay. Righty.
I'm a sneaker addict.
You're a sneaker addict, but sneakers could also be Adidas. So why Nike?
I love the brand. I'm very loyal to the Nike brand. The
Tell me
clothing.
why though?
I don't know. I just like it.
Okay, does anybody else here love Nike as much as Ronelle does? Yes, I can see a hand up.
I
You're
have people
you're a
in
Nike
the
lover.
office saying that nobody can love Nike as much as I do.
Okay. Anybody, another brand? Somebody, give me a different one. Somebody else's?
Reebok.
Reebok. Okay, tell me why. Whoever had Reebok, why do you love Reebok so much?
For me, it's a unique brand for me. Not everyone has it like Nike, Adidas. Yeah.
Ah, that's a good one. Uniqueness is a very, very good one, and actually proves my point exactly. So let's do this. Anybody, you can shout out, you can text it, you can do whatever makes you happy. I'm going to say to you, you're a candidate in the job market, and I'm the candidate, and I'm presenting CVs to you, or the recruiter. You're the hiring manager. I'm going to ask you to pick one of these for me, bearing in mind that you have criteria on which to meet it. Right, so you're going to tell me 1, 2, or 3. Which one are you taking? I'll ask you to pick one. Which one is it? Shout out if you like. Pick one. Are you struggling to
One.
pick one?
They all look
One.
the same.
First
Number
one.
1.
One. Why? Because it's number 1.
Yes. There's
Okay.
something about number 1.
Something about number 1. Okay.
Yes.
But is it hard to pick between them? Or was it like super easy? Like 1 is the one that stands out.
It is very easy.
Really?
There's
That's
no
really
unique
interesting.
qualities to it.
I beg your pardon?
There's no unique qualities to it.
100%. In fact, these are the exact same bottles that I just copied and pasted 3 times. And really, the point I'm going to be making is that when we go and look at students, not just students to be fair, look at candidates in the market or people that would be representative of our brand when we are employing, this is what we see. Same, but not different. Absolutely no distinguishing features. Absolutely nothing that sets you apart. Zilch, that makes me go, that's my person. That's the person I want to employ or even talk to for that matter. Out of interest, and I don't mean to scare you, so maybe hold on to your seats, but last week I did a lecture on or a workshop on CV applications or the ability to adapt your CV. And I did a quick search. There, as the job title, HR graduate, there were 83,000 candidates on LinkedIn alone with the job title HR graduates. I did exactly the same job search, and to see how many jobs came up, there were 7 on that day. That's like nearly 11,000 applicants per role, with 1 or 2 people probably being employed. So my question is, can you really afford to be looking like these bottles? And if anybody says yes, then we want to talk about this. But if you all agree no, then I'm actually super relieved, because the 79 of you, or however many of you are there on today, are those people who are invested in themselves enough to actually want to stand out above the other 10,999 applicants. So that's really cool. If I now say to you, pick one, which one's it going to be now?
Number 2.
Number 2.
Number
You're
2.
my
Which
girl.
one?
You're my girl.
One.
Pepsi.
Coke.
Pepsi.
Pepsi. Okay.
Yeah, I also like Pepsi. Pepsi.
Okay, tell me why you love Pepsi.
Halafu.
Okay.
Can I
Why
say that?
else? Anybody else that loves Pepsi? Why?
Because Coca-Cola has too much acid, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, good point. There's too much acidity for you. Anything else that makes Pepsi stand out?
There's less sugar in Pepsi.
Cool. Lovely point. Less sugar. Anything else? I see a hand
I
up.
just feel like everyone else is trying to copy Coca-Cola.
Yes.
Why, bro? That's not true.
Sorry, could you say that again? Or was that not meant to be unmuted? All right. So you can see the point when there's a branding on it. So if we went back to this one, right? Really difficult to tell them apart unless you decided one was the standout. Very little differentiation. And quite frankly, I'm not sure I would trust taking a bottle out of the fridge when I don't even know what it is or who put it there. When I go here, I know exactly what I'm getting. Or if I don't know what I'm getting, I have a really good idea of what I might be getting. And therefore, I'm more likely to engage with this product by virtue of the fact that I understand what it is and what it might give me. And that's where we want to go today. If I looked at you, if I went and put your name in Google, would I see something that would really encourage me to go, I want to look at this person more. I want to see how they would fit with me. Okay. Any questions so far? We good? Right.
Yeah, there's none yet.
Fab. Okay. Let's have a look at this. Does anybody know who this gentleman is? How about this one? You know who, so did you say you know who this is?
Yeah, Steve Jobs.
That's right. Theo Beloy
On
from
the right, it's the
Batu,
Batu
from
founder.
Batu. Fangirling. He's one of my favorite South African brands. Everybody knows who this is on the left?
Stevie Jobs.
Steve Jobs. Okay. Let's talk about their brands a little bit, because their brands in actual fact are very similar types of stories, but they are so differently engaging, and nobody probably there isn't hardly a person on this group who doesn't know who Steve Jobs is, but not everybody knows who Theo Beloy is, and yet their branding and the way that they go about their personal brands is actually almost identical. So Steve Jobs is really well known for his authentic simplicity. He has a very iconic brand, Apple. It's innovative, but it's also simple to use. He's got that philosophy that you need to play by the rules by breaking the rules. So you think about in his very first speeches where he stood on stage, there were no fancy posters, there were no fancy slides, and he took this little device out of his pocket and said, "This is what's going to change the world." That's Steve Jobs. Everything he posts is about innovation, simplicity, getting back to the basics, and he tells his own personal story through his branding. Theo Beloy, if anybody doesn't know who he is and his story, Theo started out in finance at one of the big 4 accounting firms. So Renal will really love this dude because Theo is sneaker obsessed. Theo worked internationally, and he said he often jokes and says he took this job because it had paid him dollars to enable him to buy sneakers all over the world. He probably has, he said, one of the biggest sneaker collections of anybody that he knows. And he came, and what he did was he came back to South Africa to visit his family, and he wanted to buy sneakers. And he went around shopping, and he thought, hang on a second, there is no sneaker brands in South Africa that are truly uniquely African. Sorry, I'm going to pick up the boss of me. So hello, Jake. Hey, Jake. Yeah, okay. So Theo's brand is about uniqueness. Theo's brand is about personal storytelling. Theo's brand is about success and innovation. And Theo's entire strategy was not only to build the biggest sneaker brand in the world, but his goal was to give 100 South Africans jobs. And his entire journey, and if you go and look at his social media, it's the storytelling around his brand development, which ultimately started with Theo. He sold his first pair of sneakers out of his boot in a township. And he now has, I can't remember how many stores, more than 15 stores, and is currently opening one up in Namibia. So he is probably as revolutionary and as committed to innovation and uniqueness as Steve Jobs, but less so. And why is that? First of all, Steve Jobs's profile is older, so he's developed it over a longer time, and his products have become synonymous with him in the market. Theo less so, but that does not make Theo's personal branding any less effective. And I actively encourage you to go and follow him on LinkedIn, because his way of branding himself is almost a great roadmap for how I think you could possibly look at it. Any questions on this? on either of them, or comments maybe, or thoughts or feelings, or anybody that's kind of had a good look at or knows Theo and kind of can relate to his stories? Sure. Quiet group today.
I'm sorry, Mama, I didn't get your question.
I wanted to know, now I was just checking in to see if anybody had thoughts, feelings, comments, maybe had looked at some of these, the posts that either of these people put out there.
Okay, I've had a look at posts that Theo does put up. It's mostly like motivational, because I used to follow him on Instagram and also on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So he's more like a self-driven person who is more who prioritizes self-branding more than anything.
Absolutely. But if you have followed him, go and have a look how closely his personal brands aligns to the identity of his company and his product. There's such a fine line between them. His brand is innovative, so is he. So he's so well crafted, that entire story and that message, to be both consistent and to be constant. He's a master at it, actually. He's incredibly good at it. So I really encourage people to go and check them out. Okay, so you are not two people. There isn't a private side of you and a work side of you. You are one individual, two sides of the same coin. And very often I say to people say to me, am I allowed to have my own interests? Am I allowed to put something that's not professional out in the whole wide world? Obviously you can. But the thing you've got to really remember is, just like you're one person, your brand is one entity. It's not your creative and interests in a separate world and your professional side in another completely separate space. They merge. There's cohesiveness. And when I go as a recruiter and check somebody out, I'm not going to LinkedIn and looking at them and stopping there. I'm looking at all of you, everything you put out there, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because I don't want to have surprises. And I'm sure many of you have seen in the news, over the last even 10 years, where things that employees have put on their personal pages, like a statement to their friends and friends and family on Facebook, have been taken and associated with brands, and brands have landed up dismissing those people or taking legal action. That's really how intertwined this is. In fact, it's such a big deal that we're much like doing a criminal check or a credit check for jobs these days. There are social media checks that we can do where the system or somebody goes and trolls through your entire online presence to look and see what the risks are. And not just really for the risks, but to see whether your cohesive picture is in line with what you're looking for, the company you're applying for, the role that you're applying for, and the values that that business represents. And if you think it's not important, I promise you now, I probably run these checks about 80% of the time at the moment. So let's have a look at where you could possibly be on the personal interest side. And this could actually be used for your professional self. There's Instagram, there's Vimeo, there's Pinterest, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. These are where you could potentially show I love pugs, right? Or I'm a Coke, or I'm a sneaker fan. Look at the new sneakers I bought. Or you're an avid photographer, or whatever it is. Those are things that you put out there. Instagram is like there's no words, right? There's pretty much only pictures, but those pictures tell a story, a big story about you. On the more professional side, you've got things like LinkedIn, Twitter, or X, sorry, Dribble, Behance, Medium, Get if you're in IT, Quora. That's where you share your professional know-how, your technical skills, your skills, your experience. But both of those together make the one person brand that you are. And therefore, it's so important that you really give some consideration to what it is you put out there, because once it's out, it can't be unseen. So somebody could screen share it, somebody could post it. You think you've made it private, but it never really is. And it's never really gone. So you've got to be uber careful about what it is that you do and how that you do it. Something taken out of context can have the biggest impact to you, far more than you ever imagine. Any questions on this? Any comments? Any concerns that, oh, I'm not allowed to be an individual? Because that's what comes up a lot. I should be entitled to look at something a little bit left of center if I like to.
Hi, I would like to ask, so as most people now are using TikTok for business or professional use, what is your opinion about that?
Well, I guess it depends on what it is, right? So do you want to give me so just tell me what the business is or the product?
No. I'm talking about like
in
how
general.
people, in general,
Okay.
how they would express their business, their opinion in business. What is your take about that?
If TikTok or video is the most appropriate means, if you're going to demo something, if you need it to be a visual representation of something, there's nothing wrong with TikTok. In fact, even in the recruitment space, we should be using TikTok more. Maybe let's not say we, the collective we, me, because I am surprisingly camera shy. I look at a video of myself and go, oh my goodness, look at that wrinkle. Why are my panda eyes? Like, what happened to my hair? Why do I sound so weird? Why am I screaming? If there's a place for it, it is a very good place to be, because in your personal brand, much like Coca-Cola, right? One of my favorite brands, you can go into anywhere in the world, you'll find Coca-Cola. In South Africa, you can go into the smallest town, and on top of the smallest spaza shop, guaranteed they sponsored the sign with Coca-Cola on it. So if your audience is there and it makes sense for your audience, by all means be on TikTok. But TikTok can be silly. Like, I'll give you an example. One of my own friends, she made a TikTok video of herself running out of a shopping mall with a bunch of bags, and I went, but why? Like, what was your actual message there? Like, I don't really understand. And it's in the middle. She didn't do it in the middle of the day, but she did it on a Saturday and posted it on a Monday at 10 o'clock. And I'm going, shouldn't you be at work at Monday at 10 o'clock? Now it looks like you're shopping at Monday at 10 o'clock. Could have been a leave day. But what I'm saying is, it's all relevant if used correctly.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
Yes. Thank
Hundreds.
you.
Cool. I can see somebody's hands up. Anybody has a question?
Yes, it's me. Good afternoon, everyone. So I have a question with regards to your personal online space. So let's say you follow a certain political party. Let's say it's APC, for instance, and you are applying to a company and the CEO has strong values against that political party APC. So now on your personal social media page, you're an active follower of political party APC. But then on your professional one, you display that you're not biased to any political party whatsoever. And then when you apply, are they able to like cross-check and reject your application based on your personal social media page?
Okay, that's a very loaded question. So there's a couple. So I'm gonna try and remember all of the points. Will they decline you based on your political affiliation? Highly unlikely, unless, of course, your ABC political party advocates violence and terrorism, or something that is like completely out there. The chances are no. In a big corporate company, the CEO is highly unlikely to even know that you are applying and won't be looking at your stuff, but the hiring manager or HR will. Even in an organization that's 5 people strong, you're going to find 5 people, 3 of them might follow this and 2 of them might follow that. It's okay. You can have that. You're entitled to that. In fact, it's your constitutional right to have it. All I'm saying is maybe you think about the way that you express your affiliation with that. So you don't want to be seen at a illegal gathering, as an example, or I wasn't going to say riot. Riot's not the wrong word. What's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, it's like late afternoon English. A sit-in or a protest or you can do that. But if it's an illegal one, or it results in violence and death and property destruction, you might want to be very careful about how that portrays. But you are entitled to it. Discrimination is not permitted. Does it happen? Yes. Is it likely to happen because of something like that? No.
So even if okay, for instance, like a duty, I am one of the students who are like under a student command, and I am seen on the front, like at the front, leading a protest which wasn't what's the word, which wasn't allowed by SRC. So would that really negatively affect my future applications for jobs? Or
well, the truth is it could, right? That's the honest truth, that it could, because you're doing something that was illegal. So you are actually advocating for not following the rules, for not looking at public safety, yada, yada, yada. That actually could have an impact. So you might want to consider how that might look. There's many ways to skin a cat or to address issues that you feel strongly about. And perhaps in a professional space, what somebody might be looking for is somebody that knows how to stand up for what they believe in, but to do it in the right way. There's nothing wrong about being passionate and advocating for human rights or whatever it is that you're advocating for, provided that you take the context and the legalities and the safety of it into it. Somebody else have a different question before we move on? Want to be mindful of time? Cool?
Thanks,
Great.
G. I'm just looking at the professional and the personal spaces and wondering in terms of the hiring processes if it has maybe a certain scoring and weight that it carries. To say that as part of your screening, because of my not so good personal space, then you wouldn't consider. Just wondering.
You know what? No, it's a very good question. And the answer is no, there's no real scoring. So let's say, and the truth is, whether you have a lot to see or a little to see, that's your brand. Whether you put out one thing or like another thing, that is your brand. So you've got to look at it and say, that's what I look like now. But now is what I'm telling you is your opportunity to audit and edit, right? What do you want people to know about you? And that's where we're going to get to now. What do I want people to know about me? What is the image I want to portray? Like nobody's not going to hire me because Jake the pug is the boss of me. Okay, maybe they won't because I refuse to go to their office if I can't take Jake the pug. But the point is that my love of animals is not going to detract from my ability to do a specific job. And the fact that I am passionate about life in general, so a living, breathing creature, might actually be very helpful to me. So it's not that you have something there and that it's weighted. It's, is there something that is like such a red flag that would be a problem? Or is there nothing for me to see there and therefore I'm making my own assumptions? Or is there something that says, hey, she loves animals, she loves chocolate, she has a family life. She recognizes her kids and tells her husband she loves him on her social media. That's okay. So if we're all good, we're going to move on because I'm sure there'll be other questions when we get to the how and the why. But let's have a look. So this is why it actually matters. And if you think about any single brand that we've talked about today, the social proof, the evidence we see is why it matters. So you want to deal with a brand that has credibility in your mind, right? Trust and belief. So if you think about when you go on to Take-A-Lot or you go into somewhere and you buy a new TV, we're very often Googling to see if somebody had something bad to say about it. So we look for social proof and the belief in that brand. We use our brands to attract new opportunities. So Pepsi's competing with Coke because they want market share. You're competing with 83,000 other students for that same job. So attracting new opportunities matters. You want to network. Your brand attracts other people, and other people create networking opportunities, which give you so many opportunities. Awareness of jobs, help when you're looking, learning, mentorship. The benefits are like they're endless. You also want visibility with your brand. So Coke puts their banners up in every spaza shop. When you go into a little town, you drive past, you go, oh, there's a shop. Guaranteed you're seeing Coca-Cola when whether you recognize it or not. So it's standing out in the crowd. That's what you want your brand to be visible and create visibility for you. And you want it to advance you. You want to position yourself for growth. So your personal brand, and why I say you want to be starting today, and it might be auditing or building, is that you're not thinking about today. You're thinking about your brand in terms of where you want to go. Your first job and possibly even your second job from where you are now is what your brand is developing. It takes a while to develop a brand, a minimum of about 6 months, sometimes even up to 3 years, 2-3 years. So, but when you need it, it's too late. So now's the time to start building that brand, to start creating a persona that makes you stand out from that crowd. Today, like now, today is your day. Because I promise you now, when you need it, it is genuinely too late. Right. So here's step number 1. You want to create a digital handshake. And by digital handshake, it's what I know about you if you're not in the room to tell me. It's what I see on all of your profiles. If I go to Instagram or if I go to LinkedIn, is the message and the consistency the same? And you're going to go, but no, because one's personal and one's private. That's not true, because your value system doesn't change whether you're at home or whether you're at work. If you believe that theft is great, you're going to do that at work and you're going to do it in your personal space. So the fundamentals of who you are as a person, and for that matter, who you are not, will be consistent about everything. But your first point is to really define who are you? What do you want to be seen for? What do you not want to be known for? What do you do? So that could be, I'm aiming to be an accountant or an HR manager or an engineer or a designer. That's what you do. Who you are is your values, your passions, your attributes, how you apply yourself to your world. And then, of course, how you show up, right? So Steve Jobs, as an example, has an iconic look and feel. His brand screams simplicity and authenticity. Steve Jobs pitches up on the world's biggest stages in a pair of jeans and a turtleneck. He does not come in a tuxedo and fancy suits and expensive shoes, because that's not who he is. And that's an example of where your professional life and your personal life, both online and in person, kind of have some consistency. So now this is not right now in the moment you can say to me, this is who I am. But if I were to give you an example, and I'm sure you've all heard of an elevator pitch, right? This is kind of your digital elevator pitch. So if you went online and looked at somebody, what is it that you're actually going to see or know about that person, but without even having a word to say about them? Anybody have any questions or comments on this before we move on? The C here is clarity. So Be sure of what your message is. Be sure of what it is you want to do. Showing up is also like now, right? I'm going to remember the people who liked Reebok, who spoke up, who engaged with me, because that's the brand you're portraying. Engaging, keen to learn. As an example, when I step out of here, I'm going to go, oh, I was looking for a grad. I'm going to reach out to that person because you're top of mind. That's what I'm talking about here. How do you show up? Every career day, every online post, everything. Is it speaking about who you are? And are you sure it's not saying who you are not? Righty. We can always go back if you have questions. The kind of the next stage is much like Coca-Cola or Reebok or Nike. If Ronaldo dropped off the face of the earth, who would buy Nike shoes? Who would, besides Ronaldo, be the target audience? That's kind of when you want to go here. So you want to strategically select the sites that you're going to be on. So if we look at TikTok, so if you are in a creative space, say you're in content development, or you are in PR, or you are in some of the design spaces, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram might be exactly the places you need to be on, but you also want to be on LinkedIn, and you want to have a good CV, and you want to be available on a specialist site, maybe like Behance. But be mindful of how much time you've got, because it's very time consuming to keep those all up to date. And remember what I said, whether you put something there or not, that says something about you. So if you choose a site or two or three, make sure that you've got the time and you know what you're going to put there that will actually speak about you a little bit. Okay. Companies or blogs should I follow? So if you are looking to be in the manufacturing space when you leave work, when you leave varsity, you should be following now all of the manufacturing companies on LinkedIn. You should be having them on your radar. You should be connecting with the people that work in those spaces, HR companies, specialist recruiters. You need to know where you belong. Say you are looking to be an industrial designer. Are you belonging to industrial design groups on LinkedIn or on meetups or anywhere? So really, who needs to see you and where are these people? Because that's where you need to have visibility. So let's put it this way. Coke, and okay, maybe it's not a good example because they are kind of cheeky, are not going to go and try and sell Coke outside a Pepsi factory where the staff get free Pepsi. Might not be their best idea. They might want to be hugely present at a sports event where they would have significant more traffic to sell their product. Make sense? Anybody have any questions? Want to talk about something? To check in? Anybody not know where they think they could be? So if anybody's unsure, let's talk about it.
Sorry, Gita, I just have a few comments in the chat box.
Cool.
One of the attendees says Steve Jobs passed in 2011 but left a great legacy in Apple. And another attendee says some of us are on an exit plan on Workspace.
Okay. So tell me about the exit plan.
Would you like to unmute your mic and maybe you can elaborate on that, Mama?
No, man. I was just commenting when she accidentally went on saying that going off varsity to a workspace. And I was just responding to say that some of us are planning on on exiting the workspace.
Okay.
Because of age.
Because of age?
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about me. Am I old?
Well,
okay, but
I'm speaking about me.
How old are you that you're exiting the workspace?
I'm heading to my 50s. And I had a plan to retire at 50. So Yeah.
Oh, wow. Can you share that plan with me? Because I passed that. I'd love to also sit at the beach. Okay, but you know what?
Another time.
You never have, you know what, that's a now thing. But you know, your next journey might be as an entrepreneur doing something on a sideline, then your branding might need to change. It might just be slightly
Definitely.
different. Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. There might be different stuff, but you'd be doing it. Okay, any other questions, Ronald?
No, we up to date.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about what does my audience need to know about me. So this is now the consistency, right? There needs to be consistent message to your audience. So let's say you are currently studying software development and you are looking to move into a web developer role. So what does your audience need to know about you now? So you would want to think about tech skills that you have. You would want to think about whether you've developed any websites end to end. I might want to know about how you incorporate UX or UI into your designs. I might want to know that you follow international best practice or trends. So what's going to get me my job? What's going to keep me moving from one job to the other? It will be completely different from one person to the other or one kind of career to the other. But you really need to think about what am I trying to get across? What does my audience want to know about me that will help them look at me differently? So it's really, again, that elevator pitch, that online and offline presence about me. Now, here it might also be, for argument's sake, if I've got a Git account, I can put a post or a link so that other developers or development managers can go and look and see, he's got some interesting front-end skills, strong HTML, but he's also got some exceptionally good back-end skills. And oh, interesting, he's done Laravel and he's done Cake PHP. That's my person. So you don't need to say very much, but it is what your audience or what you want your audience to know about you when you're in the market. Remember that standing out from the 5,000 other Coke bottles without branding? This is what you do. Once you kind of know what do they need to know, what do I have that kind of supports this message? So let me use myself as an example. So because I can speak about that till the cows come home. I advocate, and if you listen to Ronald, that I'm a recruitment professional with more than 16 years across multiple industries, that I'm incredibly passionate about people development and youth in particular. And you heard me say I was a pug lover and chocolate is my favorite, and Coke and chocolate are my favorite things. So what evidence would I have to support this? Well, if you go and have a look at my LinkedIn profile, you'll see that I sit on the board of directors. You'll see that I won the 2024 Recruitment Professional of the Year award. You'll see that I have a significant sized following. You'll see that I hold an international staffing master designation and genuinely one of less than 10 people on our continent to have achieved that in their careers. So I have a lot of evidence to support this, but those are all physical kind of things. If you went and looked at my posts, would my posts support my passion of teaching, educating, empowering, making sure that people don't get scammed by the various international scammers that are there? I would like to say yes, they do, because I constantly post educational things. I constantly call out scams. I constantly share jobs. I constantly talk about best practice in recruitment. So if you use mine as an example, you should see the evidence of what I'm trying to say I am and what I am not. You will see that I do things that support the type of person and my value system just differently. If you went to my Facebook, I still talk about recruitment. I still share jobs. I still comment when people are struggling or have questions on a more personal thing. But I'll also share that I volunteered animal rescues, or that I asked my friends to help me collect clothes for vulnerable people. So I think that I have kind of merged the two together, and that's kind of where you wanna head to in that space. There's the personal stuff that I do, but it is consistent with who I am as a person. That's kind of your goal. Define your visual appearance and behavior. So your visual appearance is, what do people see? So you'll also go and see when I post stuff that there's consistency in the fonts that I use. There's consistency in the colors that I use. There's consistency in the format of my texts. There's consistency in my messaging. You will not never. Okay. If it's Standard Bank, you're going to see me ranting on Facebook. Guaranteed. But I don't on LinkedIn, as an example, berate other brands or call out bad behavior unless it's people scamming each other. So how consistent is your branding in terms of what it is that you do? Somebody's phoning somebody. Okay, anybody have any questions or comments up to here? Okay, so people kind of ask me as well. So, what about my tone? I can be super cheeky, right? And I love the brands that are super cheeky. And it's okay to be controversial and to kind of poke the bear sometimes, but within reason. And it might also show that you have a lateral way of thinking if you're mindful of what you put there. So here's some examples, right? If you have a look at a Coca-Cola putting a cape on a Pepsi and go, everybody wants to be a hero. Or if you look at Nando's advertising, so clever. But it also tackles topics. It also calls out people's nonsense. Like, hey, Eskom, now that you've discovered that water makes coal wet, big surprise, here's some breaking news. And then they make it about their brand. Super clever. Is it cheeky? Is it pushing the boundaries? Absolutely. Is a million people taking offense? No. And there's a difference. Anybody want to ask about something? Because maybe you put a post there out now and you're not 100% sure about it. Like, was it a bit left of center, a bit dodge? Sorry, I think somebody's unmuted. Anybody have comments? Want to talk about a brand? One of their own posts? Nope. Okay. Sorry, Renal, can you please mute Mzulu for me? Thank you. Okay. Once you kind of know who you are, what you want to look like, who your audience is, you want to start creating a content plan. You want to look at what could I post about? How often should I be posting? Should I be liking or commenting on? And where would I meet people virtually and in person? Because remember, we want to be where our target audience is. And this is where we're talking about constancy. So it's how consistent your actual activity is that drive your engagement with your brand. So let's talk about this a little bit, because this is definitely a conversation. What could you post about? So does somebody want to unmute and tell me what faculty you're from, what job you're hoping to get, and what you think might be a good couple of posts? Otherwise, I can pick on somebody. Not Renal, because she's busy buying sneakers. Somebody? Has anybody commented maybe what their faculty is, what their first job is, and I can maybe give you some ideas of what it is you could be posting about to start developing a brand.
Hello.
Yes.
I'm Sneh. My name, Faculty of Health. I did medical laboratory science.
Mm-hmm.
What I mostly post about, I post about myself at work and the trainings that I do when I attend to audits, mostly just to promote my course could because not many people are aware of it. So, but listening to this presentation here, I need to define maybe my personal branding.
Mm. And you
Yes.
touched on something there. You talked about your audits, right? And auditing is a very specific skill set. And it is something that is critically important in your space, as is attention to detail and the ability to look at things critically. So if you're going to create a post where you might be looking at full-time employment in a laboratory, those are
Yes.
core skills that you want to start posting about. So as an example, right, you could be writing a post on, say, a project that you're working on. So maybe are you working at a private laboratory or one of the like National Health Sciences or
It's
National?
national health, yes.
Okay, you think about the volume and scale of the laboratory tests that come into that environment. It is huge, right?
Yes.
So one of your posts could be on how accurately you have learned to deal with massive volumes of data. And that the audit of that is not like, oh, I looked at two little test tubes and two little results and wrote a little report. It is significant data that you have learned to deal with. You could be posting on that. You could also be posting on stuff like the importance of quality controls in your space, or the importance of accuracy or cleanliness and hygiene, or some of the standards that need to be in place. And you could also potentially comment on how important this role is. Without laboratory services, a lot of people go undiagnosed. Epidemics and pandemics and horrific diseases are not managed and found. So it's such an important role, and you can talk about your passion for why you chose it and what you think your role does for the greater good, but also showcase some of the skills that you have in that role that would lead you to a long-term position. Does that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Super. Anybody else?
Hi, ma'am.
Yes.
I'm Notando. I'm in the Faculty of Informatic Systems. I'm currently waiting for my graduation dates for ICT and business analysis.
Mm-hmm.
For an example, I do not post anything on socials. I'm one person who is kind of private. Nobody even knows what I'm doing or where I'm doing. I just do not like to put my life out there. Even that I'm graduating, it's just the people that know that actually know me. So I'm asking, will that actually affect me in the long running? On LinkedIn, I do follow quite a number of people from my bursary. Some I've been featured on some newsletters, but I just do not like really engaging that much. So would that be a problem?
Yes and no. And I'm going to say yes because you're losing out on a lot of opportunities by being invisible or by being in the background. It would mean that your job search strategy is going to have to be very direct, but you also not showcasing the types of skills that a business analyst needs. A business analyst, by virtue of what they do, needs to sit and engage with different users, line managers, developers, project managers, to get out of people and to start getting data for you to start making proposals and for people to buy into your to-be scenarios. So I would say you don't have to have a huge profile. You don't have to have Facebook and Instagram and everything. And you don't have to have a massive LinkedIn presence. But I would say to you, at least have something that showcases you differently. You can be very selective about it. You can be very strategic about it. It can be very directed to your career path, the types of projects you work, the environments that you work in. Maybe you want to start giving back a little bit. You could teach about the different ways to gather data, how differently or more effective an observation could be in a certain space versus reading processes and procedure manuals. So successes and commendations and those newsletters, they're all part of your professional brand. So even if you just focus there, I'd say you'd be better off than not having a brand at all. Because whether you have one or not, we're making assumptions. So by you not engaging on posts and giving your feedback and guidance and kind of posing interesting questions, you're not showcasing the very best attributes of what a business analyst actually is. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. But my thing is, I've been volunteering at this company that I really can't talk about because the owner is very private and doesn't really like his things being showcased. So, for an example, I've been meeting with some traditional leaders from different areas, and I've been doing his things, his business things. Whether it's administration, has to do with IT, all of those things, I've been doing them. But I really can't showcase them because he doesn't like his things being out there. So in that situation, how do I turn this around and just like make my brand actually stand out? Because I've been doing things for him on the side. He doesn't pay me, by the way.
No, that's what volunteering is. And you know what? And I genuinely commend you for volunteering. You don't need to talk about him at all. You're not building his brand. You're building your brand. So you can talk about, I've utilized these skills. I have found that my approach to this by doing this gave such different results. I have read this article and have this comment to say about it. So you could follow many IT web or a lot of different blogs on this. You could follow groups, you could share content, you could talk about your interpretation of it without mentioning another company at all. It's all about you, how you have adapted or utilized skills in your space. Where you did it is not that important. How you've gone about it and the outcomes you've received, that's what we want to see.
Thank you, ma'am. It makes sense. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Timbeni?
Thank you so much, Gita, and greetings to the house. Gita, this is it's quite informative, so robust. I'll say the current generation of students, they are so fortunate. In our times, we didn't get so exposed to such crucial information. I'm also just like the previous speaker who said that they are almost on their way out at exit level. I'm just also a foot out. But I think this would help. I'm from the health sciences nursing department, right? And I'm a clinical facilitator there. But then I would think, honestly, what we would post, at times, in the health sector, you get limited, especially with the POPI Act and all the like. You like to post what you do, but you also have to think the surrounding where you are. Is it not going to get me into trouble? But what I often post, I'm more spiritual than work related. So I also say that I hope that in the next life, the heavens will be proud that I've been marketing quite well. But if I were to be given an opportunity to say, if we could turn back the hands of time, I would exactly look into posting what I like wish to become my future career and all the like, but that time is gone. But now I'm speaking on behalf of my students, because at times we do advise students on what to do and what not to do. So now, based on nursing students, what would you advise would be the best for them? Because I do see, when you start identifying student skills and talents and all the like, I've seen a couple or just a few post on TikTok. At times you would post on TikTok your profession, but at times it doesn't help the next. Maybe it's just for climate that you are seen, that you are now a nursing student or this and that. But some, they are quite informative. I've been seeing a few that I've been following. There's this doctor on TikTok. I think it's Dr. Okay, let me not say his name. But what he posts is so informative. It's even teaching me as a facilitator. There are things that I've forgot from nursing college that he posts. There are posts that are informative, and then there are posts for just content to be seen.
100%.
Exactly. So
100%.
exactly. Yes,
Okay,
yes. So teacher, in a nutshell, I'm just saying, what advice could you give for our students, maybe in the nursing field? What could be best for them? And then number two as well, if you do not mind, out of this, I would love to learn more about LinkedIn and what I can actually do to develop my own skills if I were to use that platform, even teaching skills as I exit. Thank you so much.
Right. Nursing is a calling, right? It is a certain type of person that goes into nursing. And nursing in our world has changed. So if you think about the Netcare group, they have adopted a paperless system where a lot of their administration and engagement with doctor and patients is now digital instead of paper-based. But nurse, so you could talk about that, right? Your computer literacy, you understanding the value of digitizing documents for access 24/7. So no more do you have to phone the doctor on the side and go, "Hey doc, it's 12 o'clock at night. Something happened with Mrs. So and so." And you need to try and explain stuff. There's not digitization for that. He can access records. So you might want to talk about that. You can talk about the importance of that, the value of that, how your skills as a nurse need to adapt to that. You could talk about the value of understanding doctor-patient relationships, how your observation skills need to be on point. There's some patients, not me, because I'm loud, you'll know all about my issues, but there are some patients, as an example, who are quiet and they don't like to complain, they don't want to bother anybody, but your observation skills as a nurse are generally top-notch. You see the grimace, you see the difficulty turning, you see the quietness, and you see it differently to the rest of us. You want to talk about your human side as a nurse, your medical knowledge side, and your absolute skills in supporting both patient and doctor, but also your adaptation to the digitizing of the nursing administrative or the medical administrative functions. There's so much you can do, because what sets one nurse apart from the other, that's what you need to put there. I hope that answers that question.
Perfectly well and so amazing. And I'm just glad you even touched on the current systems and adaptation as well. That is so crucial. And with nursing, documentation is one of our vital aspects. When it's not documented, it's not done. And if not appropriately documented, can even take you to court. And hence we have so many litigations just
and
because
cause medical emergencies. Yeah.
Exactly. Perfect. Thank you so much, Gita, for that response.
Okay, so now we're looking about what should I be liking or commenting on. So I'm going to show you a post, and I'd like you to invite you to a thumbs up if you would have liked this post. Right. This is a student. You can see he's open to work. If I move this thing slightly over, you'll see he's got his graduation hat on. He's in the space of analytics, and his post merely said critical thinking and decisions making. And this were the images that he posted. His ability to think critically and make decisions on the spot. By show of thumbs up, who would have liked this post? Who thought this was super clever? I can't see. So, Frenal, if you can just give me a sense of whether it's the majority or the minority that thought this was good.
It's a minority. Oh, well, there's more thumbs up coming now, but it's not so many.
Okay. Who would
But
have...
also,
yes?
but also it depends what is your like about, because for the fact that they are probably in contravening the laws of the place that they were parked, it's wrong for them to then go off like that with the property of that place, whatever the clamp that he got or she got. But in terms of creativity, it's a thumbs up. So I hesitated whether I should put a thumbs up or not.
Yeah.
Because yes, it's a good thinking, but
yeah, and there's the fine line.
Thinking and
you look at
unethical.
integrity,
Yeah.
it's
So
questionable.
yeah, so
100%. Lorata, what do you think?
I think for me, I agree with the previous speaker to say it's like a mix. For me, it's like if you're looking for humor, it's quite actually funny. Like if it's not like a real scenario like in life, if it's not what he actually did, then it would be like humor, because sometimes people do like dumb things like that. But if it's like a serious situation, then it comes across as, unlawful to be posting things that you should actually not be promoting. You are parked at the wrong place. You just go pay, if you are wronged, or you don't actually park there. So yeah, it's such a dual view to, yeah, it creates a bit of mixed emotions.
100%. And that's exactly my point. It wasn't your post, but you liked it or you commented, ha ha. There were some posts, there were some comments on this, oh, I must show my children this so if they ever get in this situation. But as a recruiter, my immediate thought is, would I even consider this graduate? Not a chance. Because he's advocating that this is critical thinking and decision making. So you're quite right. He illegally parked, follows no rules whatsoever, no regard for rules. Probably safety as well. What if a fire extinguisher was behind there? He could have killed people in an emergency. Then he compounds it.
But then come to think of it, we don't. Sorry, Jim. I'm just thinking, what if we don't know also what was the emergency of parking there? And when they came out, still the emergency was still happening, and they couldn't wait to find someone to help them. So it's a very interesting post, I must say.
It is a very interesting post, and that is a valid comment. So let's think about that a little bit. Let's say that was the situation. He could have, given that scenario, instead of just saying critical thinking and decision making, he could have said, I accepted risk and the accountability of risk. So he could have skipped this whole taking the tire and stealing the clamp story. And he could have said, this is what happened. The emergency, I had to make an acceptable risk decision. I accepted accountability for it, and this is how I would do it. But on the face of it, with no context at all, my immediate thought is passing this person by and quite frankly, everybody that advocated for not following the rules and compounding it by a lack of accountability and theft. So my point is really just be very mindful of what you like and comment on, because where you think saying, oh, there could be two sides to this, when I look at it, I'm seeing the side you present. I'm seeing all the people that supported the side you presented. Whether it was what you intended is questionable, but the interpretation is there for us to see. Okay, I'm going to skip this slide on because
sorry,
yes.
Gita, I just have 2 comments in the comment section.
Yes.
This session is so informative. I wish I had been exposed to this much earlier in my working life. That's from Sarah Khan. And another comment is this session would be very beneficial to students, could be included in Gen Ed course. So we have been encouraging faculties to ask their students to join in. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right, super. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so this one I'm going to gloss over. All I really wanted to say is when you've put a line under your name, so empowering youth and professionals, career coaching, that's what I'm putting out as a statement. And I want to show an example of my own post that could support this. We're not going to read it because it was lengthy, but I saw a Postnet advert that suggests that you do a criminal check with them at a cost of 450 Rand. That will help you with your job. And I'm telling people that it won't help them and not to waste their money. So I'm giving people the skills to empower themselves to make better decisions given data that they've got. So that would be an example of a post you could make that would support the brand you are portraying. Okay. But we don't have time for that now. So let's have another look at this one. BA Humanities graduate, also open to work. And she says, what causes someone to constantly view your profile but does not send a connection request or message, just views every now and again and, oh, the emoji with the phone. Okay. How do you feel about this post? What would you do if you came across this post?
I think this would give me a reason not to send a connection request. It's full of entitlement.
100%.
You know, just because I've viewed your profile doesn't mean that you should expect me to send you a connection request.
Correct. Your profile has to give me a reason to connect with you. So the fact that she's put this probably means that her profile is a little bit bland or completely sucky for that matter. And I look at it, but there's nothing to connect with you for. So let's have a look at her. Let's have a look at her profile. And if we go back and look at mine, this is my view. Let's go have a look at hers. This is what I see. Staggering. So inviting. She even got customer care as part of her name. I'm 100% sure her mother didn't name her something, brackets, customer care, something. Says nothing about her. Nothing to make me want to connect with her. Do you see the point? Be careful what you put there. Is that somebody's online? Sorry if it's you.
Yeah, I have a question actually.
Yes.
I saw how you've put that description on your profile, and yes, this. It looks more interesting than me putting my name, obviously, and then my current job title and the company that employs me. What is your take on that?
Okay. So it does need to have a job title, right? You need to, because remember when I search somebody, the very first thing that comes up is that thumbnail of who you are and what you do. So you want to have it, but you also want to say how well you do it, right? So what is I am a business analyst, but what? You can do that. So you know what you can do? You can take your CV, you can put it into NoteLM or Gemini, whichever AI you happen to use. You could say, I am a business analyst in this field using my CV, tell me what stands out about me that I can use as a LinkedIn headline. That's what I did to get mine. It went and summarized all of my stuff and came up with that. And I tweaked it a little bit to make it sound a little bit more like me and a little bit less like my favorite Gemini person. And I must be careful
Okay.
how I say it, because if I go something Google, he goes, how can I help you? So I can't say it out loud. Yeah, but you can
Yeah, got it.
get it there. Something a little bit more descriptive about you than this. Make sense? Right.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay, hundreds. In fact, Gemini is really great for generating content ideas. I say Gemini, it's my go-to. I love Gemini, but there's different AIs for different purposes. So Claude, as an example, is really good for project management stuff. And Copilot is really a good overall one. But there's a lot of good prompts you can use to generate ideas. So here's some of the content ideas you can have. Milestones that you celebrate, graduating, your first working anniversary, your completion of VAC work. Self-promotion is not random bragging. You are showing that you are able to progress through your career and your life. Success stories, great marks at the end of a year or a trimester. You might want to talk about successful projects, VAC work, all the success stories, anything that shows your ability to succeed are good posts. You don't want to put those as the only thing, but every now and again, those are really good. That's what sets you apart. You want to talk about your knowledge and skills. So if we use the nursing one as an example, or the laboratory one, where you highlighting aspects of yourself that stand out in your space. You want to start talking about your thought processes. So if you read an article in a blog or in the news that is relevant to your space, you could share that and go, this is a really interesting representation of my feeling is. It showcases your application of skill and knowledge and the way that you think about your world. Those are amazing posts to have. You can share content from thought leaders, quotes from people that are meaningful for you. It doesn't only have to be completely professional. Again, just be mindful of the message that it sends. So you'll see some people post memes and jokes on LinkedIn. That's great. I can tell you something, and I'm still so jealous about it. So my eldest son, I forced him into personal branding in LinkedIn, obviously. But he made a post, I think it was his third year of varsity. He posted a picture or an image or a little video clip of a train and the person running in front of it or passing documents off on the run or something. And he made such a clever analogy of it because he's an IT grad of it. And I don't remember exactly what it is, but that post got something like 200,000 views. I've never gotten that in my lifetime. And it wasn't even this uber professional thing. It was a very clever interpretation of a video that had nothing to do with IT. So it is possible to use things like that because it shows your lateral thought. Those are great. And then you want to maybe think about some give back or teaching posts. Remember that you might be in third year now. There's a first year who might be following you. There's a person in your graduate program or your internship who's struggling with the concept that you could help with. Never, ever, ever think that because you are junior that you have nothing to share. You do. There are people who have been in jobs 10 years that are average and people that have been in 3 years that are exceptional. Longevity years does not denote knowledge, skill, and talent. So never be afraid to show what you know, because I guarantee you, if you help one person, you've done a good job. Or if you catch the attention of that one manager that goes, check this out. What an amazing addition to my team this would be when I have my next batch of interns. You have stood out. So please don't filter yourselves too much. Be mindful of what you post, but don't discount content ideas because you think, oh, it might not be 100% professional. Trust me, if you think about it right, it is. Lastly, just like
Sorry,
question.
Gita. Just to be mindful, we have about 4 minutes left.
I'm just about done. I'm on my last one. I'm just going to be mindful of your competition, just like any other brand is. You want to make sure that you audit yourself, that if there's something super dodgy, that you make it private or you delete it. You check where you are. You make sure you've got a good presence. If I'm looking at you from the outside, what is standing out for me and where's your area of development or improvement? And a good way to do this is go and have a look at your last 3 to 5 posts on whatever platform you're choosing and stand back as an outsider and say, if I were looking in at me, what is this saying about me? And then take 5 key items from today and start putting a deadline to it. Because if you don't, I promise you, you'll be at the end of November looking for a job and it's then too late. Your brand doesn't live online. It is you. It's your mindset, your commitment, and your investment in yourself. You either pay the time now and develop this, or you're going to pay for it later. And later is going to be way more expensive because you're going to be under the pump, and a brand does not get built in a day. And it is you every day, in every way, whether you're actively working on it or not. How I see you on campus, how I see you at an event, how I experience you online, how I see you in a lecture hall, how I see you dressed, how I see you think, talk, and behave. It is you. And lastly, I want your brand to be authentic. It is you reflected to the world. It is not a mythical creature that lives online, that unicorn that recruiters love to talk about. It's not. It has to be you full on. And that is it, everybody. Questions, takeaways, anything you'd like to comment on?
I don't see anything in the chat box, but they say that the session has been great, and I hope I can be invited to other future ones. And we do. In collaboration with Recruiters Care and Gita, we have a series of workshops that we're going to be running throughout the whole year. And we'll be happy to host you guys. And sorry, there's a hand up. Would you like to quickly ask your question, Tembeni?
Thank you so much. Thank you once again, Gita. Thank you so much. God bless you. A takeaway home, maybe a thought for another day. If you could take us through also the copyright issues and implications as we post. We are aware that at times, even sharing videos and all that, there are copyright implications that we do not want to find ourselves in trouble. Hence, at times we become reserved and do not share for a lot of things. Maybe another day, if you have any knowledge on that, you could assist us.
The short answer to that is much like any work that you do at varsity. If you credit the resource and you reference the source of your item and you don't claim it on your own, you're pretty much on safe ground.
Thank you so much. As I said, it's a discussion for another day because it's quite long. I've heard that there are spaces that don't even allow, even if you reference or, you know, there are a lot of lawful avenues that you have to go through before doing that. But it's for another day. Thanks.
True. You're welcome. I saw there was another hand up. Or did somebody stop?
No, it was the same hand. Just a
Okay.
lot of comments in the chat box session saying thank you so much, and this was an eye opener. Such a power packed, informative session. So once again, Gita, there's another hand.
Sure.
Esma Katini, would you like to just ask your question?
Good evening, and thank you for the session you're having us, ma'am. I would like to ask a question about how much is personality important with profession? How does it go hand to hand? For an instance, maybe you may be a quiet person, but you take your work seriously. So, how much is that important?
Again, you're not two different people in the world. You are a quiet person who applies himself to his job. You know, there are introverts have many valuable contributions in a workplace. You typically listen more. You typically think things through before you just blurt stuff out. When you have something to say, it's generally very insightful because you've spent time and it's that important that you're going to talk about it. So your online brand could be show a little bit more of reservement. It's not even an English word. Be more reserved, but you can still showcase your skills and abilities. Your personality just won't be loud like me, where I choose outlandish pictures and bright colors and the like. Your brand will speak for itself, but you shouldn't not have one because you're quieter in the workplace. You probably speak up when you need to, and that's what your brand will portray.
Thank you.
Here's my QR code. So this goes to my performability Facebook page. So not Facebook, LinkedIn page. My team are really good at posting content that gives tips on CVs, on interviews, on social media. They post content almost every single day. We share jobs there. So you're welcome to scan it and follow it. You'll get a lot of value from this. I also have a PDF book on personal branding that I highly value, that I really enjoy. I'll share it with Ronelle and she can distribute it if she thinks that it would be valuable if somebody specifically wants to read it.
Perfect. Thank you once again, Gita, for an awesome session. I think you're raising the bar and the standards very high. So the next one, we're expecting a lot from it. Our next webinar will be mastering the interview. So we're expecting a lot from you for this one. From the DEC community, and especially from the Advancement and Alumni Relations Unit, I just want to say thank you again. Recruiters Care is giving their time and for free, they're volunteering their service to us. So we're so grateful because your sessions are always informative. We're always learning something new. Even though we've been in industry for so many years, we're always learning something new. Last week, Ruth taught us a lot about CVs. And this week, you and your personal branding. So we're very, very grateful for this. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome. It's what we love to do. So I'm living my brand through this. So I'm grateful for giving me the space to be able to do what I love. So thank you for that.
Perfect. And to our attendees, thank you so much for staying with us in the session. We really appreciate your support and showing your initiative and being engaged with us. And we look forward to hosting you again in our Mastering the Interview webinar. I hope you guys have a wonderful afternoon. Drive safe, and we will see you guys soon.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.